President Trump, he has been talking tough on trade in Asia. Peter Morici is with us now, economist at the University of Maryland. Peter, okay, the president talked tough on trade with China. Did he come away with anything concrete? Because I know that you want him to be tough on China. Did he get anything?
Not a whole lot. I mean, a lot of those deals that were advertised would have happened anyway, and the trade deficit keeps getting bigger and bigger. Now we have to see what happens when the next shoe falls. Likely a lot was said in private that wasn't said in public. Tillerson's in favor of a much harder line. And, you know, it is telling that the Southeast Asian nations, while they're not lining up behind this bilateral business, are coalescing into their own trade zone to offset the influence of China. And, you know, people like the Philippines and so forth are, and Japan and whatnot, they're kind of lining up with the United States on strategic issues.
Is that bad, Peter? If we're excluded from this new trade grouping in Asia, we're not part of it. Is that bad?
And it's absolutely bad. It basically means that it'll make sense to produce stuff in Mexico or Canada or Japan, because they will all have free trade with Europe and a lot of Asia, and the United States will not.
Well, the president can't just jump back into this big trade agreement because he's already said we're out and he doesn't like it.
Well, the problem is now they're changing the big trade agreement and ripping away some of the things that were put there to make the United States happy because we're not in the deal. So just joining up and becoming country number 13 would not be a good idea. I think it's possible to take this back, to climb down from this position and get back involved with TPP. We can just say, well, look, they've turned themselves into a bloc, so this is now one-on-one. I would point out to you that when I first got involved in trade policy as a teenager, believe it or not, it was because John Kennedy was getting very nervous that the Europeans were creating a trade bloc and we were locked out. And that's what gave rise to the Kennedy round, which caused a dramatic reduction in U.S.-European tariffs, because in those days, that was the game. The Americans were concerned about getting locked out. If they managed to add Korea, you know, and Taiwan to this group of 12, then we're really in a lot of soup in Asia, because, you know, there's already Japan in there and the Philippines and Vietnam and so forth. But it's encouraging. It's encouraging that they're doing this to counter Chinese influence. Okay. They see the devil in a way that liberals in America refuse to acknowledge.
Fascinating. All right, Peter, one real fast question. Our viewers are looking at their screens now and seeing on the bottom right-hand corner that a 5-year low, I think at least for GE, is down nearly 6% at $19.27 a share. Would you buy it at this point? I know you don't follow the market as closely as that. But would you buy it?
I actually follow it more closely than you think. I was talking about that this morning with my wife. I would like to know more about how they're going to shed the locomotive business and the lighting business, and who's going to get that money. You know, are they going to stuff it in their pockets? You know, the new CEO talks about cutting everybody but his pay. My feeling is that there's a culture of bloat at General Electric, just like there is at General Motors. And for the time being, they can make that company look better by selling stuff. But is this going to be like Hewlett-Packard? I'm really betwixt and between on this one. My feeling is, let's see how they price in this dividend decrease. And that could prove to be an entry point. Because, you know, with General Motors, there were several periods where it went down and then came back up, and then it went down and came up before it finally went bust. But I'm not convinced that General Electric isn't just a fundamentally culturally broken company that's incapable of keeping its costs down.
Wow, you're taking this thing down. It was down 5.9% when you started. Now it's down 6.1%. See what you did?
I doubt that I did that much.
I tell you, lad, I tell you. All right, Professor, time's up. We'll see you again real soon. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Now,